Hello everyone, this is Miss Dean's lesson in grade 8 math. So it's time to ready your notes, ready your pens as we go through learning factoring polynomials. Before anything else, I would like to remind you that there are times that I would be asking questions. And if it comes, I would like you to pause the video, think over of what could be the answer, and then unpause when you're ready to proceed. In this video, we are going to focus on factoring general trinomials with a leading coefficient of 1. Are you ready? Now let's observe. We are given here a table with 3 columns. The first column is composed of the factors, and the second column we have the process of multiplying the factors using the FOIL method. And the third column is the general trinomial. Do you notice any pattern? Look at the first term. It's a squared. Where do you think it came from? How about 5a? And how about 6? Now can you see the patterns in the first, second, and third term in relation to the given factors? Are those patterns the same on the second, third, and fourth rows? Now what do we call this trinomial? What pattern can we see? Trinomial that you have seen is in the form of x squared plus bx plus c, where the leading term has a leading coefficient of 1. So what are the steps that we have to follow in factoring these? Of course, we have to check first if the given trinomial is not a perfect square and the leading coefficient is 1. And then in factoring, the first thing you have to do is factor the leading term of the trinomial, or simply get its square root and write these as the leading terms of the binomial factors. Second, we'll list down all the factors of the last term. And then third, identify which of these factors sums up to the middle term. Then fourth, write each factor in the pairs as the last term of the binomial factors. So let's have this example, a squared plus 6a plus 8. Notice the third term is not a perfect square, thus this is not a perfect square trinomial. And the leading term a squared has the leading coefficient of 1. So the first thing that we have to do is we factor a squared, and that is a times 8. So let's find the factors of 8. We have 8 times 1. We can also have 4 times 2. We can also have negative 8 times negative 1. Since when we multiply like signs, the product is positive. We can also have negative 4 times negative 2. Now let's try to add each factor and let's see which will sum up to 6. 8 plus 1 is 9. 4 plus 2 is 6. So we are going to use 4 and 2. Now why can't we use negative 4 and negative 2? Because negative 4 plus negative 2 is negative 6. And our middle term is positive 6. So we cannot use this. This is also negative 9, so no. Therefore, the factored form is the quantity of a plus 4 times the quantity of a plus 2. That's it. Next, let's have a squared minus 6a plus 8. The first thing that we have to do is to factor the leading term, a squared. And that is a times 8. Then we will find the factors of 8. Again, we can have 8 times 1, 4 times 2, negative 8 times negative 1, and we can also have negative 4 times negative 2. Then let's try to add each factor and see which sum up to negative 6. 8 plus 1 is 9. 4 plus 2 is positive 6. Negative 8 plus negative 1 is negative 9. And negative 4 plus negative 2 is negative 6. Here we go. We can use negative 4 and negative 2. Thus, the factored form is the quantity of A minus 4 times the quantity of A minus 2. And that's it. Next, let's have A squared plus 2A minus 8. Again, we factor the first term, which is A squared, and that is A times A. Then we will find the factors of negative 8 this time. Now, remember, in multiplication of integers, the product is negative if the factors are having unlike signs. Means that the two factors have different signs. So we can have negative 8 times positive 1. We can also have positive 8 times negative 1. We can have negative 4 times positive 2. And we can have positive 4 times negative 2. Next, let's sum up each factor pairs and see which sum is equal to 2. Negative 8 plus 1 is negative 7. 8 plus negative 1 is 7. Negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. 4 plus negative 2 is positive 2. Check. Therefore, we can use 4 and negative 2. So the factored form is the quantity of A plus 4 times the quantity of A minus 2. That's it. Next, let's have A squared minus 2A minus 8. Again, let's factor the leading term A squared, and that is A times A. Next, let's factor the negative 8. So we can have negative 8 times 1, positive 8 times negative 1, negative 4 times 2, and we can have positive 4 times negative 2. So let's try to sum up each factor pair. Negative 8 plus 1 is negative 7. 8 plus negative 1 is 7. Negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. That's it. We're going to use negative 4 and 2. Thus, the factored form is the quantity of A minus 4 times the quantity of A plus 2. That's it. Now, before proceeding to the next examples, let's go back to the answers of the 4 examples that we just had. Now, we pair up these answers. We have the pair in the left side and a pair in the right side. At the left side, we can see that the factors have the same signs. And on the right side, we can see the factors have different signs. Why do you think so? Now, on the left side, on the given general trinomial, the third term are both positive. So what does it tell you? It tells you that if the term is positive, then the two factors must have the same signs following the sign or operation on the second or middle term. How about on the right side? Notice that the general trinomials are both negative or minus. So it tells that if the third term is negative, the factors must have unlike signs, and the greater digit must have the sign or operation of the second or middle term. So let's apply the pattern with A squared plus 7A plus 12. Take note the third term is positive and the middle term is positive. Thus, the factors will have the same signs and the two of them are both positive. So first, let's factor A squared. and that is a times a. Then let's find factors of positive 12, which are both positive. We can have 4 times 3. We can have 12 times 1. We can have 6 times 2. And determine which of these pairs sums up to 7. 4 plus 3 is 7. Therefore, we are using 4 and 3. So the factored form is the quantity of A plus 4 times the quantity of A plus 3. Let's try another one, a squared plus 2a minus 15. Take note that the third term is negative and the second term is positive. Thus, the factors will have unlike signs, and the bigger digit will have positive symbol. So first, let's factor a squared, and that is a times a. Let's find the factors of negative 15, in which the bigger digit will have positive sign. So positive 15 times negative 1. Positive 5 times negative 3. So let's determine which sum is equal to 2. 15 plus negative 1 is 14. 5 plus negative 3 is positive 2. So we are going to use 5 and negative 3. Thus, the factored form is the quantity of A plus 5 times the quantity of A minus 3. That's it. Did you understand what we have discussed? Let's apply what you have learned. Which of the following is the factored form of the given polynomial m squared minus 4m plus 3? You are given 4 choices. Think it over. Pause. Do you have the answer? Yes. It's the quantity of m minus 3 multiplied with the quantity of m minus 1. Know that negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 3, and when added, negative 3 plus negative 1, the sum is negative 4. Another one. Which of the following is the factored form of the given polynomial b squared minus 5b minus 24? Another 4 choices. Try it out. Pause. Do you have now the answer? Yes. It's the quantity of b minus 8 multiplied with the quantity of b plus 3. Lastly, let's have this. There are no choices given. Try it out on your own. Pause. Do you have the answer? Yes. It's the quantity of t minus 10 multiplied with the quantity of t minus 1. Always remember, before using any other methods of factoring, check first if there are any common factors and use GSMF. And take note, there are many kinds of trinomials. So in this method that we had just discussed, make sure that the trinomial is not a perfect square trinomial and it has a leading coefficient of 1. Thank you so much for learning through with me factoring polynomials. Did you take notes? Did you understand? Do you have any confusions? If there are, you may go back to our video. And take note, there are more examples in this channel. Try those out. Until next time!